Hello snowboarders of the internet, I am your host TC and today I will be reviewing the Roam Ravine. This board is equipped with Roam's Free the Ride camber profile, so what that means is you have rocker in the nose, a flat section all the way about until the middle point, and then camber all the way to the tail. So what that does is it allows that nose to pop up, float extremely well, where you still have all that drive, power, and pop coming from the tail. The Roam Ravine comes in a 152, 155, 158, 162, and a 166 for the big dogs. I rode this board at Copper Mountain where we got about 7 to 8 fresh inches the night before. The center of the runs got choppy extremely quick, but the trees and all of those hike to areas stayed fresh pretty much all day. It was a pretty overcast day with some flurries flying throughout the day, but no real snow accumulation after that. I used my Ride Fuse boots and Jones Mercury bindings. When it comes to flex, this board definitely has a directional flex, but that being said, it is in the middle of the road. So the nose all the way till about the center of the board is gonna be quite a bit softer. As you go from the center to the back foot, it does stiffen up, and then once you get back to the tail, it is gonna be quite a bit stiffer. This board definitely wants to flex right in between your feet, I would say. And when it comes to stability, it feels extremely stable. Even on those chundry piles, those push piles, even though they were still soft snow, I really didn't feel them. I even tried to go for the meat and potatoes on them, and it just rolled right over, didn't even feel any chunder or anything under my feet. Torsionally, this board is pretty easy to foot steer. You're not really putting in a lot of effort to get it done. When it comes to ollieing this board, it does feel like you're ollieing a full camber board, where these 2 carbon rods in the tail mixed with that setback camber on it allows you to really drive that power and produce a really good snap off of it. You don't have to load it up super far in advance or anything. You see that little side hit, that pillow popper, anything like that, just go for it and just pop right at the last second, and it's gonna give you all that energy you're looking for. Are you new here? Make sure you subscribe, click that bell, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any reviews we have coming out. This board butters extremely well. There are 2 different versions of it, it feels like, but it butters really well. When you get to the nose and you're buttering on it, you do have a tiny spoon in it. So in fresh powder or even on a fresh groomer, it holds extremely well. You don't feel like you're gonna catch your nose or anything on it or catch an edge. The sweet spot on it is gonna be pretty much right on that contact point where it wants to flex and hold you. It will pop you out pretty nicely so you don't have to put in too much effort for it. Now when you get to the tail and you're buttering on that, it's gonna feel quite different. It wants to flex right in front of these carbon beams, but that being said, right behind the carbon beams on the contact point is where the board's actually going to hold. It felt extremely wild where I could pretty much lean back almost all the way on it and it was just holding. It was pretty much wheeling where the board was flexing on the tail, but I still was able to hold it and just pop right out with no worries. This board handled every carve I threw in its way, even when it was less than ideal with all those chundry and push piles out there. You're really gonna use that back foot to really drive the power to hold that carve really well for you. And like when I was on the short carves, it rolled over extremely easy for me. It was very nimble. When it got to those medium and larger carves, I felt like I could pretty much just throttle down and just go through it. This tail never left the ground, it felt like, where even when I was blasting over like a mogul or a push pile or something like that, the tail held its contact the whole time, where I never felt like I was losing control or out of control at all. This thing was extremely well when it came to carving. Rider in mind. This board is for that intermediate to advanced rider that really wants to just take everything all mountain. They want to go find those little pow stashes, those little poppers, and those side hits to just blast off of. Do you want to show us a little extra love? Why don't you head on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP. Sure, I could explain it here, but we have a great video over there getting into it really in depth. I had a great time on this board. I really didn't want to get off it. Like I was like, can we just keep going? Like, can the day keep going longer? But this thing was a blast. It literally did everything I asked from it. I didn't expect it to be so stable. Like with that softer, pretty much half up from the nose, I expected it to kind of be all back foot dominant, like not really gonna hold an edge well, skip over all the chunder and shit. It didn't. It held up extremely well, did everything I asked of it. I really like this board. Me and Avran were talking. He's like, I could see this be a daily driver. I was like, yeah, I could too, actually. This thing is so much fun. Comparable boards, the Nidecker Alpha, the K2 Passport, and the Nitro Alternator. Recommended bindings, the Rome Katana, the Jones Mercury, and the Bataleon Astro Asym. This has been my review of the Rome Ravine. If you liked it, make sure you go check out the comparable boards that we have.